A staged sparring trap is used to lure Han Li into. Hello everyone, I'm sad to share that my channel is currently not eligible for monetization. But don't worry, I will continue uploading videos for you all, although they may be a bit shorter going forward. If you're interested in more content, I've shared additional audio stories on my website link in the description below. A staged sparring trap is used to lure Han Li into a confrontation, but instead of falling for it, he intervenes at the last second, clashes with Zhu Yinzi, and strategically withdraws, revealing both his power and restraint. No need to wait for the next episode. The full audio novel is already available on my website. Check it out below. Han Li walked along a stone path in a leisurely manner and admired the view around him. At first glance, there was no one there, but when he raised his head, he found a few people that were flying. The flying spirit tribe were originally accustomed to flight, so the paths on the ground were mostly for decoration. When Han Li thought of how many powerful flying spirit tribe members have gathered, he couldn't help but inwardly sigh, let alone other things. The 72 branches of the flying spirit tribe each had a group of elders as well as a group of 30-some elders overseeing the entire tribe. Their power far exceeded that of Deep Heaven City. After all, during times of peace, Deep Heaven City only had 10 body integration elders standing guard. During war, the demon and humans could gather together nearly 100 body integration existences. But this was the power of two races. Alone, neither the humans nor demons could hope to rival the true power of the flying spirit tribe. As for the number of deity transformation and spatial tempering existences, that wasn't something that the humans or demons could rival. In that case, despite how long the humans had established themselves in the spirit realm, they were considered a somewhat weaker power. Comparatively, the flying spirit tribe's power wasn't as high as the legendary races of the spirit realm, but they were enough to be considered a mid-grade existence. As Han Li inwardly pondered this, he turned a corner and discovered a small booth in front of him. It connected to several other roads. There were 2 wooden chairs in the booth, occupied by 2 white-clothed women that were having a pleasant chat. When they saw that someone else had arrived, they stopped and looked over. One of the 2 was a dainty woman that had led Han Li's group to their residences, Xiaozhu. After some thought, Han Li politely asked, "So it was Lady Xiaozhu. Could you tell me if my companion has passed this place recently?" Xiaozhu stood up and answered with a smile, "Young Master Han must be talking about his junior sister Lei. Not long before I have seen her pass by. She seemed to be heading in the direction of the sparring arena." Han Li's heart dropped and he asked the sparring arena, "Was she alone?" Xiaozhu blinked and gave a meaningful smile. "No, she was accompanied by the Qi Rong's young Miss Hong Sha." "Many thanks." Han Li's face remained calm, and he gave a brief smile before heading towards the path to the sparring arena. When the 2 white-robed women saw this, they exchanged a glance of astonishment. The Tianpeng holy disciple remained calm upon hearing that his companion was led there by a hostile branch. He was quite unordinary. Unbeknownst to them, Han Li only appeared calm while he was actually quite angry. That Tianpeng woman Lei Lan didn't know what was good for her. Although he didn't know what the Qi Rong did to get her over there, it was clear they didn't have any good intentions. If they deliberately injured her under the guise of an accident, the chances of passing the trial would grow even slimmer. He couldn't remain indifferent about the matter. After all, he placed his name in the Tianpeng vow and made a supplemental agreement with Jin Yue. If he didn't have one of the holy disciples become a holy master, he would be greatly troubled. He was certain the Tianpeng elders wouldn't leave him alone as their clan was annexed. When Han Li recalled the particulars about the Earth Abyss trial, he inwardly sighed. This time he would acquire important benefits from the Tianpeng race, but he was also drawn into trouble. Even if he assisted the Tianpeng in escaping their dilemma, he would also need to make proper plans to leave. With that in mind, Han Li stepped forward calmly and eventually arrived at the corner. Then he flickered and blurred out of sight. The so-called sparring arena was found easily. It wasn't as far as Han Li had imagined. After making use of his quick movement abilities, it only took him the time to finish a meal before he arrived at a huge light barrier. He faintly heard the sounds of an explosion from there. His expression stirred, and he ceased his movement techniques, instead moving closer on foot. Since Qi Tian had taken the initiative to tell him Lei Lan's whereabouts, their plan should have been to challenge him. So long as he doesn't appear, the Qi Rong won't immediately make trouble. Furthermore, even if they were impatient to act, it was too late for him to do anything, so there was no point in rushing. With that in mind, Han Li's eyes flickered with blue light as he gazed into the light barrier. It appeared people were making full use of their abilities in battle. Fortunately, those that were battling didn't use any transformation abilities. One of them was controlling fire and the other breathing blue icy qi. Han Li was relieved that neither of them was Lei Lan. The woman controlling the fire should be the Qi Rong's holy disciple Hong Sha. Feeling somewhat baffled, Han Li suddenly sensed someone looking at him with icy eyes from a distance. As Han Li possessed sharp senses, he immediately looked back to find this person. However, Han Li only felt his heart tremble. The glance immediately disappeared, and he couldn't find the person in the crowd. Han Li's expression sank, and he pondered for a moment. He gave up on his search and quickly made his way to the sparring arena. But before he arrived, the raging flames and icy qi fiercely flashed instantly, deciding the outcome of the battle. The blue-winged man instantly was repeatedly pushed back by the raging flames, and he eventually conceded and dropped to the ground. Hong Sha, a beauty to begin with, wore a seductive smile and said, "Junior sister Lei, I've already dealt with him. If you want the lightning star stone, I'll hand it over to you if you defeat me. I definitely won't break my promise." Many of the Flying Spirit Tribe's men felt their minds roil when they saw her face. Han Li inwardly shouted no, but at this distance there was nothing he could do. A ball of white light flashed and floated to the sky. They had a slender figure and silver wings. She was Lei Lan without a doubt. Han Li's face sank. The Chairong woman had instantly defeated an opponent in an instant, and was now challenging Lei Lan. It clearly wasn't a coincidence. It was clear someone had spotted him and secretly informed her, thus setting their plan into motion. However, he took several breaths, and his expression became calm once more. He rushed forward to the side of the stage and looked for a nearby area before standing still. Lei Lan expressionlessly said, "You used the lightning star stone to drag me here from my residence. You've wanted to fight me in any case. Regardless of your intentions so long, I can acquire the stone. I won't hold back." She spread her silver wings, and bolts of silver lightning appeared in the air. They quickly spread across her body as if she were a spirit of lightning. Hong Sha paid no mind to this and giggled, shooting a glance in Han Li's direction. "So it turns out that junior sister has some skill. I'll definitely present the lightning star stone to you." A few of the branches below knew of the resentment between the Qi Rong and Tian Peng and began to whisper to another. They planned to enjoy the drama that would ensue. Han Li stood in place with his hands behind his back without any intent to interrupt them. Hong Sha giggled, but she inwardly felt somewhat anxious. If Han Li didn't stop them, then she wouldn't be able to use the tricks she prepared. It appeared she would have to change her plans. The woman pondered for just a moment and didn't hesitate any further. She formed an incantation gesture, and red light brightly glowed from her body. Bowl-sized red fireballs began to appear around her, filling the sky with red lights. The temperature in the arena massively rose and became difficult to endure. Those with lesser cultivation among the spectators were forced to take several steps back before they could endure the heat. Han Li's brow stirred when he saw this, but he remained in his original place. When Lei Lan saw this, she wordlessly spread her wings and cast a spell. Thunder rang from the air, and the lightning wrapped around her grew several times thicker. From a distance, it looked as if a huge silver python was coiled in the air, before it scattered into countless silver threads in an attack. Each of the silver threads flashed drilling holes through the fireballs. In the blink of an eye, thunder clapped to no end. Countless fireballs erupted and turned into scattered embers. The ability to control strands of lightning not only surprised Han Li, but it also turned the spectators restless. Hong Sha also revealed a trace of surprise, but soon she sneered. With a shake of her sleeve, she released a red mist and had it dance around her. As the red mist brushed through the air, The embers gathered to the red mist and concentrated towards Hong Sha. In the blink of an eye, a huge fire cloud appeared in the air, completely hiding Hong Sha from view. The fire cloud roiled without end, and a series of waves rushed outward. But soon it condensed back to the center into a giant 30-meter-wide fireball. The fireball turned in the air and let out a fearsome hum before flying in Lei Lan's direction. Lei Lan's face slightly changed and she raised her hand. Silver light erupted, followed by a clap of thunder. Her entire arm was wrapped in countless thin arcs of lightning. In a silver flash, they fused together. With a loud eruption, a huge arc of lightning shot out from her arm to directly meet the giant fireball. With a clap of thunder, a thick bolt of silver lightning entered the huge fireball. Just as most of the crowd believed the silver lightning penetrated the fireball, the lightning disappeared in a flash as if it were consumed. In her alarm, the fireball quickly arrived before her with astonishing momentum. After some brief hesitation, Lei Lan shot backwards and folded her wings around her. Suddenly, layers of lightning began to form around her. In the shining light, she transformed into a silver-white peng bird. Silver lightning jumped across her body, and an odd necklace appeared around her neck. A dazzling golden gourd, several inches tall, floated on top of it. She finally decided to use her last trump card and strike down her opponent. When the huge fireball saw the peng bird, it immediately stopped its tracks. As a muffled explosion boomed, the fireball suddenly transformed into a scarlet firebird. The firebird was several times larger than the peng bird, but the peng showed no fear. With a clear sound, its entire body massively surged in size, rivaling that of the firebird. Afterwards, countless bolts of lightning shot out from its mouth. The firebird was fearless as well and surged its flames. It clawed at the air, releasing 10 crimson claw streaks. The huge wingspan of the birds, along with the increasing chaos of the battle, concealed nearly half of what was occurring inside the light barrier. Blood and feathers occasionally fell from the air. But an instant later, whatever fell to the ground would instantly disappear. This was expected by the crowd. After an early-grade spirit general like Lei Lan transforms, they wouldn't continue to stall the battle while at a disadvantage, but aggressively attempt to turn the tide. The lightning surrounding her entire body turned from silver-white to a faint purple, and its might greatly increased. Han Li stared at the lightning bird with his bright-sight spirit eyes, and an odd expression appeared on his face. The others only believed that the lightning bird used a technique on itself to increase the might of its lightning. But with his spirit eyes, he could clearly see that the purple lightning wasn't something that was produced from the bird's body. It came from the small golden gourd that floated around its neck. When a spark of purple lightning from the gourd touched the bird's silver lightning, they seamlessly fused together, turning her silver lightning to a faint purple. The purple lightning sparks also seemed to have quite a background. Hong Sha was caught off guard, furious at having lost control of the battle. Although she didn't know what Lei Lan did, she clearly used an extraordinary technique. Otherwise, Lei Lan wouldn't prove to be her opponent, given her cultivation. At that moment, Hong Sha heard several male voices in her ear. Although their voices weren't loud, they caused her heart to tremble. She promptly discarded her last trace of hesitation and spread her wings in preparation of using her killing move. A strangely long feather shot out from the top of Firebird's head. Then, in a burst of flames, the feather turned into an exact copy of the Firebird. It opened its mouth and immediately spat out a chain of fireballs, creating a wave of roiling flames inside the arena barrier. The Peng bird was immediately overwhelmed by the attack from the second Firebird. Seeing that she wouldn't be a match, Lei Lan let out a furious shriek. Fire and lightning collided. The light barrier shuddered, and the nearby air began to faintly warp. This also blurred the battle between the Firebird and the Silver Peng. However, it was clear that the Silver Bird was facing imminent crisis and wouldn't hold out for much longer. Perhaps she would soon be defeated with heavy injury. Han Li observed this in silence for a moment longer before he suddenly spread out his wings. In a clap of thunder, he turned into a bolt of white azure lightning. Meanwhile, a black silhouette flickered from another point in the crowd and also silently vanished. Bang! A 30-meter-long golden sword light appeared in the air, cleaving through the clashing fire and lightning as soon as it appeared. But before the sword light reached the battle, a faint white arc suddenly appeared in front of it, producing a sharp metallic shriek. Fire, lightning, and the white arc collided, destroying all trace of one another. When the two firebirds and the silver peng saw the flash of golden light, an incredibly sharp attack had arrived above their heads and swung down. The three birds had no way to block it. In their alarm, they couldn't continue the battle. They immediately withdrew their attacks and retreated. The huge sword light harmlessly fell between the two sides. As for the white arc, it remained in its original place but soon released enormous energy. A windstorm was conjured near it. A large quantity of worldly essence qi gathered at the white arc, as if a spatial tear was about to open. The spectators of the battle were thrown into chaos. The lightning bird in particular withdrew her lightning and turned back into her young woman form with an expression of bewilderment on her face. "You aren't a match for her. Don't continue to struggle." A faint voice sounded from behind Lei Lan, as if the speaker was right behind her. The silver-clothed woman's face changed, and she hastily turned around to find a youth standing there, Han Li. So it was Han Li who had taken action, Lei Lan said with bewilderment. The power of the sword light was something she had expected from a great spirit general. The fearsome sword light and the white scar it produced had disappeared. The worldly essence qi turned calm as well. But at that moment, Han Li wasn't looking at Lei Lan, but was staring across from her. Startled, Lei Lan followed his eyes. She discovered that Hong Sha also returned to her human form and withdrew her doppelganger. She looked over at them with a mysterious smile. After Han Li separated them, a red-clothed youth with a harsh expression had appeared at her side. The youth was Zhu Yinzi, the Qi-Rong holy disciple Lei Lan was most wary of. Elle couldn't help but feel a chill over her heart. Zhu Yinzi smirked and said, "Brother Han, I heard that you've been cultivating overseas all this time and have only recently returned to the Tianpeng race. I am quite curious about your abilities. Could you teach me a thing or two?" The strike Han Li had just released caused his heart to sink. From that display, he knew Han Li's abilities were quite powerful. But in order to take measure of Han Li's true power, he calmly challenged Han Li in accordance with their original plan. Zhu Yinzi's reputation far outshined the likes of Hong Sha and Lei Lan. With his appearance, the spectators immediately recognized him. With news that Zhu Yinzi had challenged someone else, the crowd grew excited. It was rare to see two equals of great power face one another. The difference in fame was clear, but the other was a high-grade spirit general. The fight was likely to display things that were rarely seen. Lei Lan frowned when she heard this, but a flash of realization suddenly appeared on her face. It appeared she finally saw that the Qi-Rong's objective was her senior martial brother Han standing behind her. She was only bait. "I have no interest in fighting you." Han Li smiled and spoke with a casual tone. "Since you've already entered the restriction, you cannot refuse. Brother Han, please take my attack." The youth raised his hand. With a red flash from his palm, it turned into a scarlet claw, revealing 5 sharp points that glistened like red gems. Han Li frowned. Without another word, the youth swiped his scarlet claw through the air. Space ripped as the 5 scarlet talons shot forward. They instantly vanished after a flash of red light. Han Li's expression stirred suddenly, raising his arm, spreading out his pitch-black fingers in front of him. Suddenly, the air 30 meters in front of him violently shook, where 5 claw streaks appeared and blurred towards him. Han Li's expression faintly changed when he saw the scarlet streaks appear. They were originally only a foot long, but when they reappeared, they were 3 meters long. The attacks were continually absorbing nearby spiritual qi and surging in size. But before the streaks grew close, Han Li already sensed an astonishing spiritual pressure directly approaching him. If his cultivation was weaker, the claw streaks would have froze his body and mind, preventing him from reacting as the streaks overwhelmed him. As Han Li felt completely aghast, his pitch-black fingers suddenly flashed with light. producing a small black mountain in the air. In a flash, it immediately turned 30 meters large. Han Li was now securely protected with the black mountain in front of him. Red light flashed, followed by successive muffled bangs. A burning heat drifted towards Han Li, causing him to feel slight burns. But the mountain remained floating in the air, completely unharmed. Zhu Yinzi was shocked by this result. Han Li's spiritual sense quickly brushed past the essence-fused mountain, and his face sunk. Bang! He slapped his palm on top of the small mountain. The mountain promptly spun in the air, now pointing the side that was struck in Han Li's direction. On the mountain's black surface, there were partially melted 5-inch-deep claw marks. Han Li coldly snorted and pressed his black hand on the mountain. Black light roamed across the mountain, for a spell mending all the damage that it had incurred. Since Brother Zhu wants a lesson, I'll have to provide instruction. With that said, he blurred, appearing at the side of the mountain. He flapped his wings, revealing an azure peng phantom from his back. Meanwhile, a chain of booms sounded as 4 azure tornadoes soared to the sky around him, filling the air with their screams. Zhu Yinzi glanced at the azure peng phantom from a distance as it spread out its wings. Suddenly, the 4 tornadoes ruptured, sending countless azure wind blades in Zhu Yinzi's direction. For a time, only glaring azure light and tearing winds could be observed from the light barrier. When Zhu Yinzi saw the ferocious might of Han Li's attack, his expression froze. However, his fame was well earned. He took a deep breath, and his wings swelled several times in size before he wildly fanned them. Red light brilliantly flashed, and dense blooms of flame began to spread all around. With his hands forming an incantation gesture, Zhu Yinzi formed countless scarlet flame arrows and released them. The barrage's momentum was no lesser than Han Li's wind blades. In an instant, the air was divided into 2, with one half filled with azure streaks and faint azure blades, and the other filled with sparkling red light and roiling flames. A thin line formed where the attacks met. As azure and red light intertwined, countless explosions boomed. For a time, the 2 sides found themselves in deadlock. Han Li remained expressionless, but his incantation gestures changed, and the sound of thunder faintly sounded from his sleeve. With 2 claps, 2 bowl-thick bolts of golden lightning shot out of his sleeve, fusing in mid-air to form a dense golden lightning worm. Under Han Li's mental control, the lightning worm waved its head and tail, flashing 100 meters forward right in front of Zhu Yinzi. As rolls of thunder sounded out from it, it pounced at him. The lightning worm's incredible speed frightened even Zhu Yinzi. Without another thought, Zhu Yinzi spat out a scarlet ball gleaming with light. Boom! The ball and the flood dragon collided, resulting in a blinding light. Soon after, the spiritual chi roiled and turned into a 10-meter-wide fire tornado that soared to the sky. The tornado was mixed with sparks of golden lightning, and thunder repeatedly clapped from it. A burning wind spread out in every direction. Under the pressure, Zhu Yinzi unconsciously took several steps back and turned to look in Han Li's direction. Startled, his face vastly changed. Han Li was no longer standing in his original place. Rather, he brought Lei Lan near the ground at the edge of the light barrier, as if they were about to leave. In his fury, Zhu Yinzi raised his arm and pointed at him. With a rustle of wind, Red Line briefly flickered and shot forward. However, Han Li was already prepared. With a raised brow, he pointed back. Red light flashed, and a similar red line was launched. It was a fire spirit thread. A crackle sounded. The 2 lines flashed in mid-air, accurately striking one another. As a result, Han Li's fire thread was repelled with slight damage, while Zhu Yinzi's line was disappeared entirely. A short moment later, Han Li and Lei Lan flickered, reappearing outside of the arena barrier. The nearby spectators took several steps back and looked at the 2 with astonishment. Seeing he could do nothing to prevent Han Li from leaving, he raised his voice and harshly shouted, "Brother Han, you fled without fighting. Do you not fear tarnishing your clan's reputation?" Han Li glanced back at him and indifferently said, "You should understand my thoughts. We can't determine an outcome in a short amount of time. I also carry a heavy responsibility, so we'll only be able to fight later." Soon after, he spread his wings and soared to the distant sky without care. Lei Lan's expression wavered, and she eventually followed after Han Li. When Zhu Yinzi saw Han Li bluntly depart, his expression sank. From the side, Hongsha hesitantly asked senior marshal brother Zhu, "Do you want to pursue them?" Zhu Yinzi snorted. "How would we? We can't fight outside the sparring arena." I didn't think that he would leave so quickly after fighting. Although we've only exchanged 2 blows, we discovered that he's proficient in wind and lightning, so it wasn't a wasted effort. Additionally, we've noticed his small mountain treasure, which blocked my scarlet flame claw. How troublesome. We'll have to go back and think of a way to destroy him. With a careful heart, the woman only uttered a word of acknowledgement. Thus, the two descended and gathered with the Qi Rong in the crowd before departing. The remaining Flying Spirit Tribe members then began to discuss the appearance of Han Li. Jin Yue stared at the pitiful silver-robed Lei Lan and coldly asked, "Did I not instruct you 3 times over to not travel alone? Why did you go and fight the Qi Rong at the sparring stage?" At that moment, the Qi Rong Grand Elder was sitting in the first-floor hall of their residence, with an icy face. Elder Shi sat at her side. He also appeared displeased. Lei Lan appeared bloodlessly pale. Bai Bi and Han Li stood at the side. Bai Bi was silent, restless, and hung his head, while Han Li appeared calm. Not long after Han Li brought back Lei Lan, the 2 elders immediately discovered what happened and rushed over. They were giving a harsh rebuke to the 2 holy disciples. Although the one to blame was Lei Lan, Bai Bi hadn't done anything to stop her and shared responsibility. Lei Lan eventually muttered Grand Elder that Qi Rong disciple Hongsha had a lightning star stone. "If I could acquire it, I have at least a 30% chance of later entering the Great Spirit General stage." My judgment wavered. Qin resentfully said, "A lightning star stone. It is no wonder you attempted, but that wasn't a reason to take such careless actions. Your lives and cultivation are the life and death of the clan. You should understand the weight of your actions. In order to nurture the 2 of you, our clan had provided you with countless medicines and treasures, allowing you to reach this cultivation stage in a short time, and will continue to do so in the future. If this were not the case, you wouldn't have reached Spirit General stage, no matter your talents." Lei Lan didn't reply and simply wore a face of shame. As she thought of something to say, Elder Shi smiled and said, "All right, Elder Jin. Although Lei Lan has been rash, fellow Taoist, Han managed to arrive in time and nothing of consequence occurred. Fellow Taoist Han, how do you see the situation? The Qi Rong most likely had doubts about me and wanted to test my skill," Han Li replied with a smile. Elder Shi chuckled and said, "I heard that you stood on equal grounds with Zhu Yinzi and even withdrew yourself. A very wise decision." "I understand how important this matter is," Han Li replied. Jin Ye pondered for a moment and spoke with unquestionable authority. "From this day, none of you 3 will take a step outside this building. You may only rest and cultivate. For other matters, hand them over to us to deal with." "Yes, Grand Elder," Bai Bi and Lei Lan respectfully answered. Han Li offered a salute to express his agreement. To this day, Han Li's identity in the Tianpeng had been odd. He was a holy disciple in name, but in truth he was closer to a guest official. And with Tianpeng making demands of him, he could only be polite in return. Once Jin Yue and Elder Shi left Han Li, and the 3 entered and remained in secluded cultivation. 2 weeks later, Jin Yue and the other Flying Spirit Tribe elders assembled on top of Jade Emperor Peak, discussing something. 2 months later, several thousand huge birds and flying insects rushed past a desolate yellow plateau. Mounted on top of the birds and insects were winged beings. They had set off from Jade Emperor Peak and were on their way to the entrance of the Earth Abyss. Han Li and the Tianpeng were saddled on white, huge birds at the center of the group. Although the group was large and they've been flying for quite some time, very little was said on the trip. Han Li also sat cross-legged on his bird and was silently looking around him. The entrance to the Earth Abyss was much farther from Jade Emperor Peak than he imagined. Suddenly there was an uproar from the Flying Spirit Tribe members from the front, and a few of them shouted in alarm. The group suddenly flowed down. Han Li's expression stirred, and he immediately sent his spiritual sense to the front. 500 kilometers in front of them, a huge wall had suddenly appeared before them. It was azure grey and was over a kilometer tall. The wall spread to either side as far as the eye could see. Every 300-meter segment on the wall, there stood a pure white jade pillar. The pillar was only 30 meters tall, but its surface gleamed with azure light and was covered in mysterious talisman markings. To the side of the huge wall, there was a dense gathering of round buildings that were 100 meters tall. There seemed to be several thousand in number. Above these buildings flew a myriad of flying spirit tribe beings that were awaiting them. The holy disciples and the elders gradually drew closer before coming to a stop. "Greetings, elders." An azure-armored middle-aged man flew out towards them and saluted them from a distance. "So this year my old pal Jin Feng was on duty. How fortunate. Brother Jin, you should have received the information we've given you." From Han Li's side, several people flew out. This included an old woman with a cane, a middle-aged man with snow-white hair, and an old man with azure thorns on his face. They were the most influential of the Council of Elders, and were speaking to the middle-aged man. Even they appeared very respectful when facing this azure-armored man. No need to wait for the next episode. The full audio novel is already available on my website. Check it out below.